bookish friends. Welcome to the 12 Books of Christmas. These are 12 books that I can recommend to you that you can read in December. And we're going to start out with the three that I don't have physical copies of so that I don't forget to include them. These are all ones that I read on my Kindle. The first one is called The Visitor. This one, I will admit, was not my favorite. It was okay, but it wasn't really for me. But I know a lot of people enjoy this one and like this one, and so I just wanted to include it for those of you that are fans of the author. So this one is a alien invasion story, and it takes place in the wintertime around Christmas time. And there's these people that get snowed in a blizzard and they can't make it home because of the weather. And so they end up holing up in an old diner and spending Christmas there. But then, as I've already said, things go down that they weren't expecting, and it turns into a little bit of a bloodbath. So this one's really short. Like I said, it's not really my favorite, but I think there's some people out there that would like it. The next one I want to talk about is Lucky Girl. This one I also read last year, and again, this is like The Visitor, where it wasn't really my favorite. I don't think it really lived up to the premise, mainly because this is supposed to be a Krampus story, but there wasn't a whole lot of Krampus in it. Like, it was very light on the Krampus part, which was really disappointing. But I think given the right audience, I think people would enjoy this one. It just wasn't quite for me, but I just wanted to include it because it's really short and really easy to read during the busiest time of the year. So I thought I would include it, and you can make your own judgment on whether you want to read it or not. The next one I want to talk about is called A New Evil. This is a Fear Street book, and I always love Fear Street. I always love R.L. Stine. They're very fun and nostalgic for me. This is part of the Cheerleader series. This is the fourth book. I don't think you necessarily have to read them in order. Like, I don't think you'll get as much out of it if you don't read them in order, but I think you can just read this one alone, because I read this one last year for Christmas and I did just fine, and I haven't read the other one since I was a kid. So I don't think you necessarily have to do it in order. So this one, in the true cheerleader series fashion, is about these cheerleaders, and something always happens to where they start being picked off one by one, and due to some evil force or some evil person. So they're just trying to navigate that. But I thought this was a lot of fun. There was actually one kill scene that was pretty gruesome, I thought, for an R.L. Stine book. Usually they're a little bit more lighthearted, but every once in a while you have some pretty gruesome scenes, and so that was fun. And I really enjoyed this one. And then we have some more R.L. Stine, but I own these ones. There's Silent Night and Silent Night 2. And these ones were a lot of fun. I wish they were the same size, though. That was really irritating. This has the original cover, which is what I wanted, but when it arrived in the mail, it's like this really big version of it. I don't know why. It's like a reprinting of an old book. It's not an actual Fear Street book, so I want to replace this eventually. But anyways, so these are one of my favorite Fear Street books of all time. I love these books. They're so good. And you have, what's her name? Reva. So Reva, she's a really interesting character because she's dislikable. Like, she's really self-centered and, spoiled little rich girl. But you can't help but really be intrigued by her because she's just so fun to read about. So take that for what you will. But yeah, so this spoiled little rich girl, she gets harassed by people around Christmas time because she is who she is and she has a rich daddy and all that. And it's just a lot of fun, and there's side characters and side plots that are going on too, and those are really fun and intriguing, and these are just so much fun. I love these books. Then we have a Sweet Valley High book called The Evil Twin, and I love this cover. You have like it's kind of shiny. You have like this broken ornament, but then it's got the inside cover. You've got the twin with a knife hidden behind her back. But anyways, I really like covers like that. They don't make them like that anymore. But this is also very nostalgic. I used to read Sweet Valley High books all the time, just as much as I was reading Fear Street books. So this was a really fun book to read. This one is about an evil twin, as you can tell. And she looks just like the Wakefield twins, and she's jealous of their life and their family, and she wants to be a part of them because I can't remember if she's like homeless or maybe she just has a bad family life or something. I can't quite remember, but she wants to take over one of the twins. I can't remember which one. I want to say Elizabeth. I can't remember which twin she wants to take over for, but she does want to take over for one of them, and so she dresses up as them and acts like them to the other twin, and even her twin it doesn't realize that it's not her twin, which you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, but it was just a lot of fun. It was a good time, so I enjoyed this one. Then we got Secret Santa by Andrew Schaefer. This one I read a few years ago, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. So this is about a woman who, I think she works at a literary agency, and her and her coworkers always have like a secret Santa at their work, like a lot of people do. But it's like this creepy German doll starts wreaking havoc. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I always enjoy books that have like a literary aspect to them, like the person is a writer or they are a literary agent or they work at a publishing house or whatever. I love that kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed the main character. I really enjoyed the creepy doll. So I just thought this was a fun time. Next, I have a couple of romances. This one is a Victorian romance called Healing Hazel by Jennifer Moore. This one's super short, so it was easy to fly through. And this is a Christmas that takes place during like the Spanish influenza epidemic. And she's a nurse and she's trying to care for these people, but then she starts falling for the young, handsome doctor that works at the hospital. So I thought this was a lot of fun. This is actually part of a series. It's called the Ladies Orchid Society, I think. Oh, the Blue Orchid Society. And it's about these group of friends, and they want to kind of make their dent in the world. They want to show that they're more than just a homemaker and a wife or whatever, especially during Victorian times. That's kind of unheard of. So like she wanted to be a nurse, and another one wants to be a teacher, and another one wants to be an inventor, stuff like that. So anyway, so this is the third in the series technically, but they're all standalones. The first one is still my favorite, but I still enjoyed this one and thought it was fun. Then we have The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox. I read this one last year and I loved it. I thought it was so good. I didn't necessarily love it because of the romance part. That part was a little bit lackluster. It was just kind of there. It wasn't like my favorite part of the story, but I loved the sister dynamic is what I really loved. And this is about these two sisters, and one of them works at a bakery, and one of them wanted to leave her hometown and do something bigger with her life. I can't remember what her job was, but for whatever reason, she had to move back home, and she wanted to swap places with her sister. Again, I can't remember why. I guess I need to reread it, but so she takes over the bakery and her sister goes to the big city to do her thing, and there's guys in their sisters' lives that they start to fall for. So I just loved the bakery. I've really gotten into watching the British baking show on Netflix, and so I really loved that aspect of it. I really loved the sister love and the sister dynamics and their relationship, and the romances weren't terrible, it just added another layer to the story. So I just really enjoyed this one. I really liked it. And the good thing is this has no smut in it. And I'm the type of person that doesn't really like smutty books. And so that was a plus for me. I just wanted a fun holiday read, and that's exactly what I got. I bought another one of hers called All I Want for Christmas, and I'm going to read it this year, and I'm very excited. Next, we have Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. I love Rachel Harrison's books. She's a very cozy and fun author, and I really have enjoyed everything I've read from her so far. And this one is really interesting because it starts with Halloween, and then you get some Thanksgiving, and then it ends during Christmas time. So that's really fun because you can pick it up in October, you can pick it up in November, you can pick it up in December. So like these 3 months of the year is the perfect time to read this book because all the Halloween vibes, all the Thanksgiving vibes, all the Christmas vibes. So that was really fun. You don't really get that in books very often where it goes over the course of like 3 months and you could really tell. Like sometimes books take place in like 1 week, or even if it does go a few months, you wouldn't be able to tell. It just all sounds the same. But this one, you can really tell this is around the holiday season, and it definitely goes 3 months, you know. So I thought that was really cool. I really liked that aspect of this book. And if you can't tell from the cover, this is about werewolves. So there's this girl, or woman, I should say, that gets bitten by a wolf one foggy night, and she starts turning into a werewolf. And I really liked this one because it's like a parallel to her sister who's pregnant. And so it's like going through her sister's going through all these changes with being pregnant and kind of losing herself in a sense. And that's paralleled and foiled against the woman who's turning into a vampire. So I thought that metaphor was really fun and really creative. And I really enjoyed the relationship with the two sisters. This does have a bit of a romance in it, and I really liked the romance. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I really, really enjoyed this book. This is probably my favorite Rachel Harrison book so far, and I'm looking forward to reading Black Sheep very soon. Then we have The Family Game by Catherine Steadman. This one was really fun. So The Lucky Girl I wanted to read because it was supposed to be a Krampus story, and it was, but like very lightly. This one is also a Krampus story. I mean, not the whole time, but there's one aspect of it that has a Krampus part in it, and I didn't even know that was in there. So that was really fun and unexpected. And I almost was like, wait, is this supposed to be a horror book? I thought this was a thriller, but it's definitely a thriller. But it kind of made you wonder for a second if it was going to turn into a horror book. Like, she did a really good job with that part, and I really liked this book a lot. And this takes place during Christmas time, of course. And this lady is getting engaged to her boyfriend, and he takes her home to meet his family. And his family is like all kinds of messed up, of course, especially his dad. He's definitely got some issues and some mysteries surrounding him, and we're trying to figure out what those are. I mean, this isn't a perfect book by any means, but I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun, and to read around Christmas time, it would just be perfect. So I highly recommend this one. And lastly, we have The Christmas Pig by J.K. Rowling. And I'm not going to get into the whole political stuff surrounding J.K. Rowling. I am able to separate my books from the author and just read what I want to read and not really worry about that. So you're not going to get any of that from me. But this is just a cute little Christmas story. If you like the Nutcracker, I don't like this glare on this book. Okay, if you like the Nutcracker, I think you'll like this book. It doesn't really have anything to do with the Nutcracker, but it just has the same feel. It has the same vibes as reading the Nutcracker, if that makes sense. And I really enjoyed the beginning and the end of this book. It was very emotional, and I really enjoyed those aspects. The whole middle part was still really fun and enjoyable, but definitely geared towards a younger audience, and it didn't keep my attention quite as much. But at the same time, I just thought this was a really cute, really fun, really wholesome little Christmas story. And it's about this little boy that has this little pig stuffed animal that he loves more than anything. And his dad's getting remarried, and his stepsister that comes into his life is really bitter about it and really angry about it. And so she does something to this little boy that I was just shocked. I just gasped out loud, and I was like, what? Like, that's so mean. But, you know, she's she feels bad later. I mean, it's not really, she's not an evil person or anything. She's just unhappy about the situation. But I don't know, I just thought this was a cute, poignant little story, and I really liked it. So I think it's one I would probably reread at some point. It's not something I'm obsessed over or anything, but for a cute little Christmas story, I thought it was great. Hey guys, this is me in the future. I know this was supposed to be the 12 books of Christmas, and I've already done 12 books, but I'm currently putting my Christmas decorations out, and I discovered another book that I really wanted to showcase that I had forgotten about. So I'm going to go ahead and just insert it as unlucky number 13. So I wanted to talk about Come With Me by Ronald Malfi. I read this one last year, and it was really good. This was my first Ronald Malfi book. It didn't like blow me out of the water, I will say. I mean, I didn't think it was the most brilliant and fun thing I've ever read or anything, but I thought it was decent. This is more of like a murder mystery type book or like a thriller. I mean, it does have a ghost in it, but it's very, very light on the horror. I would say this is more of like a crime novel or a murder mystery or something like that. So this is about a man whose wife passes away on Christmas Day, and he discovers a receipt to a hotel that he never knew she went to. And he kind of goes down this spiral of discovering this secret life that his wife led, and he wants to figure out what she was up to in the weeks leading up to her death. And it was very sad, it's very grief stricken, it's very poignant, and it's just shows the love between a man and wife, and I really enjoyed it. It's not very fast paced, it's a little bit slower, but if you're into that kind of book, then this would be for you. I always think wintertime is a great time to read slower books. It just seems like you're less busy. Well, after Christmas, you're less busy. And then, the days get longer and colder and just lends itself to a good time to cuddle up with a good book and just read for hours on end. So I think longer, slower books like this are a good fit for this time of year. So if that sounds good to you, then go ahead and add this to your TBIs for December. And there you have it. That's all the books I have for you. I hope you find something that you want to add to your TBI this December. Don't forget to like this video and please leave a comment if you feel so inclined. Even if it's just a little emoji, maybe like a Christmas tree or a snowman or something, it really helps with the algorithms and I would really appreciate it. And feel free to subscribe if you want to see some more videos from me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.